In this video, I'm going to show you how to swap out a circular box like this that previously had a light fixture in it for a duplex outlet. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want to put shop lights in my garage like that. Instead of putting in a regular outlet box, a single gang, I'm going to put in a double gang. All right, so here we have all the materials that we'll really need for this project. We have 2 outlets, our double gang old work box, and our outlet cover. That, and then you'll need some tools. A drywall saw like this will work perfectly fine to cut out the remainder of the drywall. And then just a screwdriver or a drill. All right, so up here closer in the box, we can see that we got 2 wires coming in. I took off the old fixture already. We have a crimp on our ground wire, so we're gonna have to cut that off because we need that. We need to be able to use those ground wires again. The copper, these ones. We're gonna cut that off. This, I already turned off the switch, so I know that these wires should be dead, but we'll check it anyways with our tester. Yep, dead, that's dead. And so we're gonna have to move those wires out of the way and unscrew those screws in there, and that should take the box right out. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is just move these other wires out of the way so I can get to these ground wires. I'll take my linemans and undo this right here. Come on. Those wires apart. Pull everything out of the way. That wire. Get this wire out of the way. So we need to get this crimp right here. Alright, that's our target right there. So we should be able to take some side dikes like this and just cut that off. So we're not cutting any of the copper wire off. All right, so you can see that I cut off the side of that crimp. So it should easily come apart with a pair of linemans. See if I can do this with one hand. Little twist action. Bingo. About like that. Got it off. Now we're gonna go ahead, take these wires. We're going to feed them back through from which they came, at least as much as possible. There might be a staple in the wall holding the wires in place, so you might not be able to stick them all the way through. This is all old work, so I know there's no staples hanging out in the wall. But when they build new houses and they put in these boxes and these wires, there's gonna be staples that are holding the wires in place. So you might not be able to move them all the way out of the way. But really, we just wanna move them out of the way so we can get to those screws right there. And then we're gonna undo those screws and the box should come out easily. We might have to take a razor knife to the outside of this to cut it away from the drywall. All right, so as you can see, I took those screws out. So now all we're gonna do is take our razor knife and go around the edge of this box and just score it, and then this box should come right out. I cut around the edge with a knife. I had to cut a little bit. But I made sure not to cut too much because also this is in the middle of the drywall. I don't want to push through the drywall and damage it. So now we're going to go ahead and pull this box right out. These wires might be hanging up a little bit. It's just the drywall hanging up a little bit. Just like that. All right, so as you can see, this metal bracket here that held in our box is going to be in our way because our duplex, our double gang box is going to hit it. So what I'm actually going to have to do is take a Sawzall and cut that out of there. So now I'm going to carefully stick this Sawzall up in there and through this hole and cut that metal bracket out without cutting any of these wires, so I'm gonna be careful with this. All right, so as you can see, stuck my Sawzall up in there, cut those away, or cut that in half. And now these brackets on the ends, you might be able to see it barely, are just held in by screws, so I can probably just push them right out of the way and it will not be in my way anymore. Just like that. Bingo. No more metal brackets. And now we can get our box and scribe it out before we put it in. All right, before we can put this in, it's important to understand how this works. So the box goes like this, up into the ceiling, and then you tighten down these wings and they hold it against the drywall. But a good thing to know is that these corners are going to stick outside the drywall. So you need to scribe out the box on the edge of this. So the best way to do that is to put the box up against the ceiling, take a pencil, and mark it out. So back to our hole, we can put our box where we want it, like this. And as you can see in the middle there, it's barely gonna cover the edge of the hole, but that's all right, because the plate will cover over that. And then obviously our sides over here are gonna have plenty of room to grab on the drywall. So now I'm gonna take a pencil and outline this box. So you can see our lines here that I scribed with. So those are gonna be our lines to cut this out. But before I do that, I'm gonna hop down off the ladder and just look at the lines at a little bit of a distance to make sure that our box is gonna be square with our walls. All right, so from down here, I can actually see those lines, and I can tell that if I cut it right now where it is, that box is not gonna be square with our walls. All right, so as you guys can see now, we have it fully marked out. So it looks like a complete rectangle now. So now we're gonna get our drywall knife and we're just gonna cut along these edges. All right, so we got our drywall knife and we're literally just gonna follow it and cut it there. Make sure that you wear safety glasses when you're doing this for sure, or you will get drywall dust in your eyes and that sucks. All right, so as you guys can see, I cut it out, a rectangle. Obviously my drywall is not in great condition. Be careful when you're cutting out with your drywall knife, or you might cut off too much that you don't want to. And this was one of the reasons why I decided to put a double gang in instead of a single gang box, was because I just don't want to do extra drywall work. I just don't want to break out the drywall tools and have to put in a piece of drywall and then mud it and then paint it. I don't want to do that. So the double gang looks fine. So now the next thing we're going to do is we're actually going to stick our box in there and see if it fits. And if it doesn't, we'll just cut out a little bit more drywall. First try. Let's see, sometimes these little wings want to stick out. You might have to push them in, but I think we're gonna be good. Look at that, pretty good fit. Our plates will cover up all these gaps, including probably this right here, this little blemish where the paint came off. So we should be good. So now we'll take this out. We're gonna find our wires and we're gonna feed them through the box and then stick it back in. So what I like to do with these boxes, these old work boxes, is I know when I put it in the ceiling, it's gonna be like this. And I have a wire coming in from this way and from this way. So what I'm going to do is take a regular flathead screwdriver. And I'm not even really sure if this is the right answer, but this is how I do it. And I'm gonna puncture these so that I don't have to mess around with the wires trying to feed them through and whatnot. All right, so as you can see, push this one in and I push this one in. So now we can go in, we can go up there, and we can set it in just like this, right into that hole. In order to make this easier, a good thing to do is to straighten out these wires as straight as possible, so all these curves and things are not messing with the gateway into the box. So now that I've got my wires quite a bit straighter, not perfect, but since I have a little bit of room to play with here, it shouldn't be too difficult anyways. All right, so you can see we've got our wires mostly fed in there. So now I'm going to push it up in and pull our wires the rest of the way through as I do so. I know that I have 2 wires in that box, so I'll be able to connect the wires in that box to an outlet and obviously keep the feed going, but I'm also going to need to pigtail the wires over to another outlet as well. So I just prepared my scrap wire, about 6 to 8 inches long, and then I'm gonna need another ground wire to connect my ground to my additional outlet. If you guys don't know how to do outlets or wired double outlet boxes, I'm sure there's tons of videos out there on how to do that. Just look that up. All right, so I actually elected to just wire up my outlets while the box was still hanging out of the drywall. And I did this because if I put the box up in there and then I go ahead and I try to wire these up, there's a good chance that at certain points while I'm doing that, I'm gonna have to pull on these wires and pull on this box. And I know that this drywall is weak right here, especially. You can see there's not much drywall left on that corner there. And so I just didn't want to mess up the drywall or accidentally pull the drywall down or anything like that. So I just elected to wire these up while it's still outside of it. Now I'm just gonna screw these in. All right, so I actually made a super rookie mistake too, because as you can see on this old work box, the flaps on top of this receptacle are not gonna fit in here. They're not gonna fit in this groove right here. So what you need to do is you need to actually bend these off. And you can do this with a pair of side dikes. It's pretty easy, but rookie move when working with old work boxes. All right, so not the end of the world. I just bent them off. Now I can actually screw these in and have them fit correctly. All right, so now that we've got those screwed in, we can now put the box in, which I already done, and then tighten up these screws right here to have those wings come down and catch onto the drywall in there. So when you screw these in with your Phillips screwdriver, you don't need to screw them to death. Just get them nice and tight, right? This box is not going anywhere. The outlets aren't going nowhere. Nothing's moving. It's very solid. I'm not gonna tighten it anymore. There's no need to do so. You're just gonna make it hard on yourself. Maybe strip out a screw or maybe clamp down too hard on the drywall. You might break up some drywall. Just tight enough. All right, so I stuck our tester in there, and now I'm gonna go flip the switch or the breaker, whatever one you turned off. Go ahead and flip it on and see if this thing lights up. All right, so after flipping on the breaker, we can see we've got our 2 lights on, which shows that it's correct. And just for good measure, we'll go ahead and test them all. Yep, it's gonna work, yep. And then last one, and we're good. All right, so we got our cover on there. It fit good. Didn't have to move the outlets from side to side at all. If it doesn't fit good, you might have to move the screws in here to make them the same so that your cover will fit on. Super easy, quick fix. And then that's pretty much it. Now I'm gonna hang up my last shop light, and then it's good to go. All right, so this is our finished product. Pretty good. The reason the outlet looks twisted is because of the marking where the old fixture was. That was actually twisted, was not square with the walls. But overall, good result. We got light in the garage now, or at least more light. So yeah, we're good to go. That's how you guys do it. So if you're thinking about doing a project like this and you don't have the correct tools or just don't know where to start, it's always better to just call a professional, an electrician, or somebody that you maybe know that knows how to do this, because at least in my state, you are allowed to do electrical work on your own house without a license. But yeah, I mean, it might just be cheaper in the long run to just hire someone to do it, because really this is a pretty quick and easy job. Now, if you're doing this and, you know, maybe your attic has insulation or there's nails into the box or into the wood from the box, it's a little bit more tricky. So it might just be more beneficial, more cost effective and time effective to just call a professional to do it.